Okay, let's get into another shop update here. There's a bunch of topics that I wanted to cover. I released a haul truck video the other day, and I showed the fork extensions on it so that I was able to move the sleeper. Let's delve into those fork extensions. I made some hauls in the last shop update. I showed you a generator that I pulled off to the trailer. So that I could make another haul run locally and then put the generator back on to go down to South Carolina. Brief description of that, and I'll show you some pictures of it. Also had to pick up some tanks the other side of Rochester and take them to St. Louis to an infectious disease center or something. Stainless steel tank. But anyways, let me shut you off and we'll get right into the fork extensions. Okay, what I'm in the process of doing is building the fork extensions for the forklift. So there's the first one cut out the second one. What I've got to do is notch it up here. Not to where that line is. That line was the original length it was going to be, and I extended it another 4 inches. I'll probably notch it back about 2.5 inches, and then a hoop will get put around it so that it doesn't pull off. So what you do is you tilt it up, slide it through that slot, and then let it come down, and that hoop comes up back around the back side of it to keep it on there, keep it from sliding off. When you pick something up or pulling out from underneath something, if you don't have that hoop around the back, what happens is a fork extension would just slide off. So you put that hoop around the back. But anyways, I'll bring you back. I'm back over here at the forklift, and I had just shot that clip where I had showed you the fork extension sitting on the existing forks. And some of you may have thought, why the hell is it so wide? Well, let me explain to you. These forks are only 5 inches wide. Timmy's morning coffee. Yeah, I still go and get coffee from Timmy's, even though the virus thing is going on. These forks are only 5 inches wide. What I did is went down and measured a piece of channel iron, 6-inch channel iron, and logically the 6-inch channel iron, unless it was really heavy walled, is going to fit over 5-inch. But what happens is, even with light wall channel iron, the radius of where it's bent wouldn't allow it to set flat onto the existing forks. So the guy says, well, I can get 7-inch channel iron. So I had him get that, even though I probably paid a lot more for it. I had him get the 7-inch channel, and it'll work just fine. But some of you might, and there goes that gimbal. Sorry, let me shut you off. Sorry, guys. There's no indication of when that gimbal's going to go. It just, as you'll see, the camera kind of collapses on the gimbal. But anyways, it wouldn't have fit properly. I probably paid a lot more for it, but regardless of the point, I got the 7-inch channel, and it'll work just fine. So let me, what I've got to do is kind of figure out here how much I'm going to notch it, because what happens is there's that bracket that goes in the back that keeps it from sliding off. And this is 2 inches wide, so depending on the thickness and how I configure the bracket in the back, I'll probably notch it by like about 2.5 inches, maybe 3, and I'll take you over there and show you why possibly 3. And we're over at the welding table, and this is the one that I had fabricated so far. I'm not really sure how I'm going to configure that thing. let me, sorry, I was just grabbing this. What I could do is just take a piece of strapping like that and weld into the back of it. Or I might take a piece of rod and weld in between here. Now the farther, if I go like this, the notch would have to be less. If I put a piece of rod on the inside, I'd have to compensate for the thickness of the rod in allowing you to be able to get the fork extension around that curve. Let me, I'll take you over and show you the old fork extensions, which I still have. When I take you over there, I'll give you a funny little anecdote. Okay, here we are over to the old fork extensions. And as you see, what I did here is I notched it out, and then I took a piece of strapping and bent it and welded it to the outside. Now, I did it that way because this was a fairly tight fit in here, so I wouldn't have been able to weld it to the inside because it wouldn't have fit over there. Now I could have extended the notch out farther and put the strapping right across the back of it like I might do with these, but I wanted as much length out of these as possible. When I bought that channel iron, I just bought enough. I think they're 6 feet long, so I think I bought 12 feet of it. No, 6 feet. They're not 6 feet long. Maybe they are. But anyways, the funny little anecdote we were thinking about doing with these things is, as you know, somebody sold a forklift that these things went to. We were thinking about putting them on Craigslist and saying, for whoever stole the forklift, if you want to buy the fork extensions for them, we'd be happy to sell them to you. But anyways, the humor for the day. What I've done is laid out with a Sharpie where I'm going to cut that notch into the fork extension. But you can't, when you cutting with a glasses, you really can't see the Sharpie. So you need to kind of mark it with a soapstone. So what I do is two things. Kind of preheat it a little bit, because it makes the soapstone come out, stick to the thing better. And the second reason is it gets off any of that debris that you don't want on it. I'm going to cut these notches going in the long way freehand, because I really can't get a straight edge against it. Then I'll put a straight edge on the other side to cut this one. Probably what I'm going to do is just throw a tack on there so that I can make sure that it's going to fit okay before I weld it out. Okay, so here we are over to the forklift, and this is a test fit, and it works just fine. So I'm going to go with that on the second one, exactly the way that I did this one. Okay, so there they both are. The fork extensions are built on the forklift. So I guess now I can pick that sleeper up and get it under, get it over here so that I can pick it up, get it over here so that I can put it up on the lift, take a look at it, see what's underneath it, etc. I'll bring it back. One of the things I got to do though is turn it around. I've got to pull it out from under there, but I can't. To keep it in configuration with the way it's going to mount to the cab, I would have to back it in. So what I've got to do is turn it around. I mean, it's not a big deal. I've just got to find a spot where I can set it down and then get around it so that I can pick it up from the other side. Okay, just a brief shot. The Triumph is back in the shop again. The guy next door, the detail guy next door, is done detailing the inside now. That's all he did was the inside because the guy that owns the car thought it had a musty smell. Again, this Triumph is owned by a guy that I know. He bought it for his wife. Again, she doesn't know how to drive stick, so he's going to have to teach her how to drive stick. But anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain a little bit about a trip that I had mentioned in last shop update. A trip down to South Carolina, and I'm just going to show you a little detail of that. So that clip is coming up right now, and then I'll come back and explain when I got down to South Carolina. I'm out in front of the shop, and that's a 100 kW generator, 5.9. It's got to go down to South Carolina. I just picked it up this morning, but I unloaded it because I've got to pick up a load of rebar and take it over to that ice cream plant they're building the expansion on or remodeling before I can leave to go to South Carolina. But anyways, there's that generator. So the generator trip down to South Carolina was uneventful. It was kind of a cool place. I did it on a Saturday. I took it actually down there on a Saturday. It was kind of a cool place. I'm going to show a pick and pick over there of the place. Hopefully I can blow this picture up before I show it to you. But it looked like an old plantation. But it turned out that this building, and again, I'll put the pick and pick over there, was built back in 2006, and it was all made out of concrete, but it was made to look like an old plantation type of building. And this grounds, it had to be 200-300 acres of barren ground around here, and I thought they were going to build a farm out of it, but it turns out it's some kind of polo club, something like that. It is a polo club, but equestrian center, polo club, kind of a rich type people. When I delivered it, the guy was wearing a t-shirt that had a Maserati symbol on it, and but anyways, pick a pick of the generator on the trailer before it got unloaded. I'll bring you back. Okay, I'm out behind the shop, and as you can see, the trailer is here, and I had talked about this in the last video. I brought the trailer back here and talked about fixing the lights and stuff, but I actually never got around to it before I had to make another haul. What I did is brought it back out here again. I just came back from a haul, and I brought it out here again so that I could fix some lights. And what happened is these lights that I added, those little 3/4 inch button lights, they worked fine. There was a couple of them out. One was the original button light from the manufacturer, and it was this one right here. These are original. As you can see, it's different from this one. This one projects out. This one is more flat, but I had changed that one. But what happened was the lights, the button lights that I added, all worked until you got back here. And then these three, this one, that one, and the one on the slope, were very dim. And I'm thinking it was a bad ground. So what I did is I took the connection, kind of assuming that it was a connection here at this one where it started. Now, again, it could have been that one back there, but I started here, and lo and behold, it was this one. But it was not the ground wire as I figured. Although I pulled the ground wire apart, that connection apart, and put a new connector in it, plugged it into the truck, and it was doing the same thing. So I pulled the hot wire apart, and lo and behold, it was the hot wire. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pick and pick over there so that you can see the corrosion inside of these crimp connections. That one was the one off of the ground wire. But it's absolutely ridiculous how much corrosion was in there, and it has to be from the salt. Now, what it is they're using something else. When you see salt trucks in New York State, you're going to see usually a tank beside the salt bin on there, and they're putting some kind of a chemical down with the salt, and I think it's that chemical that's actually getting in there and corroding these wires, and that's what it was. It actually had corroded that hot wire right off. Now, it must have been dim because there was probably a strand or two hanging on, but the rest of it had corroded off. And this was, we only went through this one winter. I did this just before really winter set in, is added those little button lights. But it's absolutely ridiculous how fast it corroded out. And again, I didn't have heat shrink to go over that, but I taped it really well, and it's encased in that braiding, or that that wire loom stuff. I really don't know what to say, and when I stripped the wire back, I cut that connection off and stripped the wire back, and the wire, as far as I stripped it back, was kind of showing signs of corrosion. It had turned black, and in some cases green, up back into the wire. So it must be getting in there and kind of wicking back also. So I had talked about it with my grandson, and he was saying that, man, you might want to redo all those connections, and it would be tough to do that. I mean, I'd be better off making a new harness and heat shrinking everything and taping it probably to try and keep the stuff from wicking, using dielectric grease on those bullet connections. But if any of you guys do it and you kind of live in snowy areas where they salt the roads, I would be diligent on the fact of how you make those connections and heat shrinking them and making sure that they're sealed properly, because that could happen to you. Again, I'll put a pick and pick over there of that connection and that corrosion inside of it. I'll bring you back. As part of a shop update, I've had these hose reels, and it is plural hose reels, sitting around for probably a couple of months, and I haven't had the opportunity to get them up, or haven't gotten around to get them up. Always have the opportunity, it's just that you don't do it. Anyways, this is a 1/2 inch reel. As you can see on the box, it's 50 feet by 1/2 inch, and I'm going to use that for the bigger, the 3/4, 1 inch impacts, air impacts. What I'll do is, after I get it up, I'll make an adapter for it too, so that I can adapt it down to a normal size air chuck, so that I can run other tools off of it. It won't be as convenient as a smaller hose because of the larger hose, but when I said hose reels, what I did is put the other one up there. I mounted it up onto the post, and it's that's where I'm going to put the other one. Now, originally, what I was thinking about doing is putting one on one post and one on another post, but I don't want to put the hose reels or a hose reel over there because of the proximity of that heater right there. So what I'm going to do is mount that other one up on this other side of the post. But I just kind of wanted to show this to you. I'll do a clip. What I did with this one is there was a pre-existing hole in the upright right in the middle, so I just took that hole and used it for the top bolt, drilled another hole, and what I did is I tapped the post so that the bolts threaded in there. Now, I'll do the same thing on this one. This one has 4 bolts, but this one is a lot heavier than that one. So what I might do on the top 2 bolts is tap them, run them in through there, and then just put a nut and washer on the back side of it also, just for kind of added assurance to it. But I'll bring you back when I do it. So we're up on the lift here, looking at the lift post, and what I've done is drilled a pilot hole in the 4 places for it, and I'm going to drill it out now for the tap size and tap it, and then mount it. I just wanted to show you that I did back those bolts up. Even though that I tapped this, I backed them up with nuts and lock washers on this side. On this side, I just put nuts on, but I put a little blue Loctite on there, just to be precautious. I mean, this metal is kind of thick for, it's probably, I don't know what it is, maybe 1/8 inch, maybe, yeah, maybe 1/8 inch, but maybe a little thicker than that. But I just wanted to back them up with nuts. Be safe. Okay, so I'm showing you these generators again because, as you know, they were out behind my shop, or they are out behind my shop right now. But tomorrow I've got to start loading them on the trailer, and I'm going to walk down towards the trailer, and I'll show you another one that's on there. What I'm going to do is be hauling these to Minnesota sometime next week. Probably towards the middle of next week. But let me just talk as I'm walking down here. One of the things that I had to haul, and I don't show you guys or tell you guys about any short hauls or local hauls unless it's some kind of oddball thing or a big load of something. One of the things that I ended up having to haul last week was a tank and an agitator pump from the other side of Rochester, and it went to a pharmaceutical company in St. Louis. I'll put a pic of the tank over there on the trailer. Again, another little pick over there of the Arch of St. Louis as I was leaving. What it was is a broker called me, and they wanted me to take a tank out there for him. The place in St. Louis, it was a stainless steel tank, and it was used for the food industry, but they were going to use it for pharmaceutical uses. What it was, the place was an infectious disease control center or something like that. I forgot what it was. I kind of originally thought it was a lab. I'm gonna maybe throw a little pick of, I actually took a shot, and I don't usually take a shot of anybody or any place that I go to unless, like a business, sometimes you don't know what they want or don't want publicized. So I'm not going to tell you the name of the place, but I'll just tell you it had to do with infectious disease control. But I thought it was a lab, and I think it's more of a sterilization process for infectious disease places. Anyways, I picked this generator up yesterday, and it's got to go with those other two that I showed you on the walk down here. I've got to reload the trailer, kind of distribute the weight better, get this thing centered. The guy that put it on there, he was more of a talker than a doer, and I really didn't want to get him to center it because it would have involved probably another 20 minutes of conversation with him. But anyways, I've got to center that up, distribute the weight better. I'll put the two probably over the axle and this one just in front of it. It's got a little bit more rounder shape, and maybe we'll break up some of that air resistance. But anyways, that's going to do it for this shop update, guys. Hit that like button. Really hit that like button. Now, apparently it has something to do with how your videos get posted on YouTube. So hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, share it if you think somebody else would be interested in it.